Hey, peace family, it's Dynasty Samir, search for Uhuru. I want to apologize about the technical difficulties. I have our guest is actually in Ghana, and he's having some technical difficulties with his internet. So, what I want to do, I'll go ahead and open this up just for a general conversation. We won't stay on long. Hopefully, the brother could hop back on here shortly. So, the topic was he was just going to give a message to Black Americans. He wanted to talk directly to Black Americans and encourage Black Americans and let them know that they're always welcome to Africa. And once this coronavirus pandemic calms down, that we Black Americans should definitely consider Africa as an option. But until he comes on, what we'll do, we will open this up for a general conversation. So, guys, if you want to call in, excuse me, here's the email: Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com, Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com. Send me an email, and I will send you the link, and we can chop it up. Everybody, I hope everyone's having a great Monday. And what's crazy is it's weird because it's 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, and I know for a fact, yeah, RJ, like America doesn't have one. It's just, I swear, these baby boomers, man, I don't know. Sometimes they're special. It's I lost my train of thought, RJ. Sorry about that. Yeah, RJ, just he's just uninformed, man. He's just uninformed. That the civil rights generation, man. I don't know sometimes. But guys, again, send me an email, Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com. Yeah, Jacob, you can come on. Hold on one second. All right, Jacob, I just sent you the link. Go ahead and call in. Nah, RJ, he's just. I'm. You know what? I'm not gonna call your grandfather out of his name, but trust me, I dealt with people like your grandfather. I dealt with people like your grandfather because this is the thing, RJ. This is the issue I have with people like your grandfather. And again, I'm not singling out your grandfather, but we'll just use him as an example. If Africans have an agenda, what agenda has America had since we first showed up here? Now, if your father was saying, you know what, I'm not dealing with Africans and I'm not dealing with America, then I would take him more serious. But anybody that's like, oh man, I ain't going to Africa, them Africans got an agenda, but they love America to the point where they served in the military, you can't take them serious, man. Again, he's just uninformed. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hello, Dennis. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Also, what were you talking about? You just talking about Africa in general?
Well, I mean, we're just having an open conversation. My guest in Ghana, he can't get his internet connection together, so we're just having a general conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I want to say that, I love what you guys are doing. I'm South Sudanese. I'm from East Africa, but I was born in Melbourne. So, definitely, um, going to Africa is the goal of my, like you do, you know. And I just want to talk about, how there's been so much great kingdoms in Africa that no one talks about. We always look at European history and, we think that, they're the gods and goddesses, but a lot of the great empires in Africa, man, particularly like West Africa, like the Dahomey Kingdom, the Ashanti Kingdom, the Benin Kingdom, all these kingdoms, so I really started looking into Africa. I read this guy's articles. I think his name's Lusapo, and he provides like great articles just on African kingdoms, and those are articles I've read, and that really got my interest into.
Jacob? Are you Dinka?
Yeah, I'm Dinka.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to get to South Sudan with you one time.
Yeah, man. Like I've been seeing your videos, and you've gone mainly to West Africa. I was like, have you gone to East Africa? Yo?
Yeah, yeah. I've been to Kenya. I've been to Tanzania. Um, Now I've been to South Africa. I've been in Namibia, but I definitely got to get to. I definitely got to get to South Sudan.
Yeah, cause I think before 2011 it was just one country, North and South, and I think during independence they divided the country, you know. So Sudan used to be one country, North and South. You know, my parents are both from Juba. That's the capital of South Sudan, and
Okay.
Khartoum is the capital of North Sudan. That's mainly the Arab place.
Let me ask you: this, were you born in Sudan?
No, I was born in Melbourne. My
And
parents
where?
emigrated Melbourne, Australia,
Okay.
Victoria,
Okay.
and my parents immigrated, you know, to Melbourne, and I was born here with my two older brothers. So I'm the oldest.
Okay. Have you been back to Sudan?
Yeah, I haven't been to South, but I went to North in around like 2006 when I was 5, and I remember I got there. I was like, "Where am I?" Like, cause I was born in Melbourne, so I was used to the Western culture, and I just remember the first day I was like, is this Africa? And then once I stayed there for like 2 months, and I got to meet my cousins, my aunties, my uncles. I was like, there's just such a community value system in, you know, Africa, where, you know, you have fun with everybody, and it's not as rich as the West, but it's just that community vibe, you know.
Right.
So, you know, that was something that I remember till this day. And I just remember going to the village, and, you know, my cousins running up to me, hugging me and saying welcome. So definitely I miss that, you know, that feeling. And, you know, it's my goal to travel to a lot of African countries, you know, once I get my Carabaos going. So
Uh,
yeah.
Jacob, let me ask you: why did South Sudan and North Sudan split? Do you know?
Um well, from my understanding, there used to be a leader called John Garang. I think he was one of the great leaders in Sudan. I think it was I'm not quite sure, but I think it had to do with like the British obviously invaded Sudan like centuries ago, and they gave a lot of power to the Arabs, and the Arabs, you know, conquered the north, and a lot of the Dinka people had to move to the south, and you know there was obviously civil war that was going on, so they obviously had to come make an agreement and have independence, you know. So that's what I can gather. So I have to do more research, but yeah, it had something to do with that. You know, my dad's in South Sudan right now, so
Oh, he's there right now.
yeah, yeah.
Oh well. Okay. Well, Jacob, let's do this. Since you're Southern Sudanese, what message would you give to Black Americans?
The message I give to Black Americans is that there's no really difference. You guys are just from the diaspora, you know. You were captured, and you obviously put into the new world. But like looking at Dynas looks like Nigerian, you know. He has that West African, you know, touch with him. So there's no difference, man. It's just different culture, different dialect. But once you come to Africa, they'll love you, you know. I think um Africans get a bad rap because a lot of the immigrants from Africa, they make Africans look bad, and they talk down upon their culture. Particularly from where I'm from, like in the Dinka culture, in Melbourne, sometimes when the kid is doing bad, their parents will send them back home, and everybody be like, "Oh, you're going to Africa? That's bad." And I never really got that, and they'll say it right in front of like white people, and that would embarrass me. I was like, "Why are you talking bad about your continent in front of people that colonized your ancestors?" Like, it doesn't make sense. So, like Black Americans, like there's nothing to fear. You know, Africans love you. You know, and you're Africans as well. So it's very oxymoronic when you think, oh, we're different. We're not, you know.
Thank you for that, guys. If you want to call in, Uhuru. Oh, here we go. Let's see if we got getting me in.
Yeah, I can't wait for this.
Hold on one second. Nee, hopefully his connection is strong.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. If you guys want to call in,
And
send me an email. Uhuru at searchforhuru.com. Send me an email. Go ahead, Jacob.
yeah, Dennis, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Finding Yourself in This Big World.
Okay, let me put it in there. Fine. Okay, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to Jacob's YouTube channel. Hold on 1 second. Jacob, do me a favor. Email me right now your link to your YouTube channel so I can put it in the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Email me your YouTube page.
All right.
Brother Nee, are you there? Brother Nee.
Dynast, wait. I'm using mobile now. If I get off the live stream, will that completely go off if I email you?
Well, just well, man, you can't get him off. Yeah, Nee, just Jacob, just I'll bring you back on, but just email me your link for
Okay,
your
okay. I'll do it right now.
the URL for your YouTube page. I can put it in the chat room.
All right, sweet.
No problem. So, guys, again, if you guys want to hop on, send me an email. Again, we're trying to get the brother Neon from Ghana, but we're having some technical difficulties right now. So I apologize. So, everyone, thank you for joining. We're so happy to have you. Make sure you hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Again, hit that like button as you come into the chat room. Greatly appreciate it. Here we go. Hey, Josiah, I'm about to send you the link right now. Josiah, I just sent you the link. I just sent you the link, Josiah. Okay. All right, here we go, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Jacob's page. It's right there. It's right there on the screen. Make sure you guys subscribe to Jacob's page. It's right there on the screen. Lala, what's going on in Nigeria besides the lockdown? Yeah. All right, Jacob. I'm gonna bring somebody else on, but we got your link. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sending right now.
Okay. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Nee, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We could barely hear you.
You can't hear me.
Barely.
You hear me?
Barely. We could barely hear you. We can't really hear you. Yeah, he froze up. Go ahead, Josiah. Josiah. Josiah.
Yeah, I'm right here. Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Yeah, there's an echo. Do you have the show playing in the background?
I think I got the cell phone in the background.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
about that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead and state your piece, brother.
All right. Thank you all for listening to me. First, I would thank Dinas Demir for the great work he's doing. He doesn't know how much he's touching people and reaching, but somehow I always wanted to remind him that I listen to everything he's doing. So when I feel like there's a piece that I wanted to say, I'll send him a link. You know, we go way back, and I really do appreciate what you're doing. I don't even know you have Niai today. I was supposed to be talking to Niai. I didn't even know he was on here today. So it's amazing how things happen in such very awesome, magnificent ways.
Hold on one
Well,
second. Hold on 1 second. Let me try to get IE.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
No, your sound. We could barely hear you, brother. I don't know what sound source you're using, but it's very low.
I'm using Shinizer. Is it okay? Can you hear me now?
It's very low, but go ahead, brother. Go ahead. It's
it's
very
kind
low.
of low. It's
It's
kind of
real low.
low.
But can you hear me now?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Keep the mic. Yeah, keep the mic to your mouth. Yes.
All right. So you can hear me clearly now.
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, keep the mic to your mouth. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. I think I'll do that.
Brother, thank you for joining us all the way from Accra.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, brother. I mean, so today's
Thank you for
topic.
having me on your channel.
No problem. Nee, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Okay. As I always introduce myself, my name is Niai. Um, I'm in Accra, Ghana. I'm a photographer and a videographer as well.
The brother folds up on us.
An YouTuber, and I tell stories about Ghana. I promote Ghana to the world. I can say about me.
Oh man.
Yeah, dang.
That's not going on.
All right, go ahead, Josiah.
So about the what we were talking about the how the African Americans and the African born in Moreland how to improve that situation of we being able to unite and like each other is very simple. Number one, the people from the motherland that came here just like I did, you gotta understand we were colonized. They gave us the impression that everything white is good and everything black is bad. Imagine somebody telling you that what your ancestors did for thousands of years, they were like hidden as if that they need to be cleansed or something like that. Somebody come in there and telling you everything you have to now change. If you don't change, you'll be forced to change. And imagine being in a classroom where if you speak your native tongue, you get whooped. Imagine that. Imagine being in a place where you are measured, your intelligence is measured by how well you can speak the oppressor's language. Imagine that. So these are stuff going on. Not only you're being affected, your parents were the ones that were pushing this into your throat, telling you, oh, you have to learn how to speak English. Oh, you're going to go to London. You're going to go to England. Nobody's talking about building the local where you from. And that is the problem. When we get over here, some of us that are not at work, when we get over here, we look down upon the people that brought civil rights in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We go on, we look down, we cross that line you're never supposed to cross. Some of us do that. Now, over the years, we have started to realize that the situation where we got separated from our cousin was a tool by the oppressor to divide and separate us so far apart so that they can they can take the land. And the land that we came from is the land that holds the earth together, is where all the resources come from. So in order for us to see past the line that is being put between us and our cousins, we have to stop being selfless and recognizing that we've been fooled. Like Malcolm X, we've been bamboozled. So we have to start accepting them, giving them opportunity, just like they accept us and give us opportunity. I give you an example. In Colombia, there's only one Jamaican restaurant that is in town, and you guys know the situation in this land, in the U.S. and other Western countries. The biggest thing right now is to get healthy food,
Right.
and everybody's staying home and locked down. So now, when I go there, I don't go anywhere else to buy food if I wanted to buy anything. I don't eat the food from these places because I know the GMOs are in the food. Okay. I've lived here so long, I'm not fat at all because I watch for that. So, what the experience I'm trying to tell you is when I go there, I had a wonderful communication with this African American family, and they have intermingled with Jamaicans. What a unity. When I get over there, we talk about all kind of talk. They're trying to move to Ghana and we discuss all these things. I have a relationship with them that I can go there and say, hey, give me some food, just like we do in Africa, and they will give it to me because they understand. So it's not about it, how much money you have or what you do, your status. You have to recognize your fellow brothers and sisters. The African Americans are our cousins and nieces. No matter how bad they are, we have to, they're going to be our road dog for life. If we want to make African situation change or happen, they are a greater part of the equation. There's a saying in Africa that when you take a child like a baby, the baby is dirty, it's not washed up, and you dip the baby in the water and wash the baby up, you don't throw away the baby and the water. No, you take the baby, clean the baby up, and then throw the dirty water out. This should be the relationship we have, the African Americans, the Africans that are born in the motherland, and we should just call ourselves black people. We should recognize that no matter how bad the other is, they're still ours. We still have to take him and throw the dirty water away. So all the tools of the operators are the dirty water. We should throw it away and come together. If we don't, there's the East, there's the West. Their only sole purpose is to take the land without the black people in it. That's their sole purpose. You have to understand what's been going on. The First World War was started because of Africa. They never tell us that. I remember going to the library back in Africa, reading all the books in the library. I would see, some Austrian prince got shot. And that's how the First World War started. That's what they told us. And that's a terse statement. It's not accurate, neither is it complete. But we accepted it and chewed down on it. But now we found out it wasn't true. So they were killing themselves in Europe and fighting over Africa. The Germans didn't get it. What they wanted to get out of Africa. That's how the First World War started. And we were always being used up and messed up. But now knowledge and information is coming out. We that are here should never fence ourselves from our cousins and our nieces and our nephews. We shouldn't fence ourselves. The whole world has fenced us out. Now we're out. We shouldn't divide ourselves. We should accept ourselves. We are at the bottom rung of the society anywhere you go in the world. Why? Because we have become very good in depending on other people. We have become the greatest consumers. We have refused to use our hands, our eyes, and everything that we have that are redundant. We have refused to use it. Now, in order for us to take this up a notch, we have to reach out to the HBCU schools. These are the places you have young folks that are studying who are being trained about who they are, who are being revealed the tradition and culture of Africa. In these schools, that's where they are. These are some of the only school in the Western Hemisphere, in the America that teaches about the history of the black people. In order for black people to grow any further, they have to reach out to these schools, develop programs that will allow these schools to teach the new level in understanding of Africa, who the Africans are, and how to create a pipeline to take and transfer knowledge from here to Africa. In connection to that, there are many businesses that are growing up in Africa. These are great opportunities. There are seminars and conferences. There are developmental funds that are here in the US, which we must tap into collectively. I'll give you an example. In the past, HBCU schools never get a chance to tap into the $1 million grants that are given out to other schools. But since Trump came in, they have had that opportunity. Guess what? But they don't even know what to do.
Josiah, real quick. This is what I want to do. I want to get Nee on because he's our special guest. I just want to see if Nee, are you there? Man, he's losing the brother.
There's another brother. There's another brother there.
Yeah, Mark, my brother Mark. Mark, what's up, man? What's up, brother? Ibo Kwenu.
Yeah, I'm all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Yeah, man. That brother Joe, man, he's saying he's on point, man. He's saying, everything we used to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was just listening, I'm enjoying his conversation, and everybody should listen to him. He's on point, man. He's true. I don't know him. I've not seen his picture. He doesn't have a picture, but I think he's Jew, right? Jew.
No, Josiah.
Yeah, it's written Joe. Yeah. But he's on point, man. First of all, we have to do something with the educational system right in Africa.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Do you want me to continue?
Hello? Do you want me to continue? Yeah. You continue, man. I'm listening to you, man. You're saying everything I have in my mind, but I can just add up something later.
Okay. So what I was trying to say.
Real quick. Hold on 1 second. There's an echo. Hold on 1 second. All right, there we go.
It's not from my side.
Hold on, Josiah. No. It was from Mark. From Mark's side. I just had to mute him. Hey, African Tigers, I'm gonna send you the link too. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, okay? Hit that like button. Again, when you come to the chat room, hit the like button, hit that like button, hit that like button. Also, if you're new, please subscribe. No window shopping. If you're watching, hit that subscription button. All right, go ahead, Josiah.
All right, thank you, Lord. So, in order for us to take this up a notch and move to the next level, it's necessary to attack it from the angle of education. An average African who was born in the motherland, his goal is to come to America or UK or Australia or Canada and get the golden fleece. All they want to do with the golden fleece is to be able to, have the bragging right. Oh, I studied in the US. I have the degree or whatever. And then they'll end up working for the man for the rest of whatever they want to do. Or some of them will own a business or one or two or whatever. Nobody has a plan to return to Africa to build it. None of them, after 20, 30 years abroad, have any property or a significant property or real estate in Africa. Just few have that. Why? Why is this going on like this? Who do they think will build Africa for them? Who has ever built Africa? What other people do or continuously do is to rape Africa. And if we don't do anything, they will continue to do that. And we will become we're already second-class citizens in whatever country we're in anyway. It doesn't matter what we take on, even our children. So the question now is, how can we solve this problem? That's where education comes in. You don't train your kids to value other people than their own. You don't train your kids and tell them, hey, you have to go here to get an education, and this education that you're getting is infallible, and is albeit, and is an alizé. No. The Chinese have done this. They go abroad. The more they study, the more Chinese they become. The Indians have done it. The more they study, the more Indian they become. Why is it that Africans, the more they study, they want to be like white people? What is wrong with them? Why is it that Africans are not concentrating on what they already have? We're talking about education here. We have homeopathic way of healing people and caring people. Everything doesn't boil down to science. There's a part of science that humans can't understand. It's called metaphysics. So Africans have all these things. This should be incorporated in our educational system, and our system of healing has to be incorporated moving forward. These are stuff that should be exported. How do we export them? We have to get the people in the diaspora involved. There's a lot of African Americans who are highly knowledgeable when it comes to herbs. The question is, how do they know this? They have African DNA in them. They can feel and sense these things, and they use these things. We need to bring them to par with what's on the ground so we can develop that body of knowledge and educational system and certify it, and other people will start learning it from us. That's how we become relevant. When it comes to technology, we have to do the same thing. When I went to HBCU to do a launch of my application, guess what?
What?
These are predominantly Black people school. I met a young man, 21 years old. It's so sad to tell you the story, but I have to tell you the story so you know we are missing a lot of talents. This young man developed, I'm not going to tell you details because I don't want nobody to steal his idea. This young man, you cannot imagine that this comes from a HBCU school. HBCU schools are looked down upon in the US, okay? They are looked down upon. However, these are the schools that helped all the revolutionaries in Africa, the head of state that gave Africa their independence. That's where they went to school, okay? Now, I went there, and I see this young man. He made Do you guys know Roomba? The Roomba, the robotics that kind of vacuums the floor.
Yeah.
This is a Roomba. Okay,
Yeah.
this kid took a Roomba and converted it with magnet underneath, stick it on the car, and it cleans the car and dries the car. These are the talents we're missing. This is a black kid. Who will ever see him? Who will ever give him money to develop his idea? Who? These are the talent that we are missing. Do you know an average kid, a black kid in America, uses his mobile phone more than any other person because that's the only thing he has. He uses it to print documents. He uses it to code. He uses it to do everything just like the ones in Africa. So necessity is the mother of invention. At this turn of the century, I am telling you guys, the knowledge and innovation are going to come from places we never thought of. Let's come together and use our resources and pool the minds, the people with uncanny talents amongst us. University does not make you. You make yourself what you want to become. There's many talents. We have to create this pipeline of education and training people to learn how to do for themselves. The white people call it entrepreneurship. I don't think you train people to be entrepreneurs, but you can train them on how to build things, and their ability can take the capacity they can develop from their ability can take them up to become entrepreneurs. We black folks have to tap into our talent. We learn by doing. We are very good in learning by doing because we have a very strong intuition. If we can go to all these HBCU schools and package a program that we can present to every one of them, I understand their problem is not having money and not trusting in themselves. I'm feeling a little low most of the time. But if we have people like Dynast Demir and all the other important people that come together with a package that we take to the schools, I know Spellman is a HBCU schools, and take a very well conformed and well developed program and take to the school. There's a lot of money in the US for schools now. And we package it and give it to them, and they take that program and use it to formulate a system. And in that system, you train the kids and expose them to Africa where they can solve problems without wasting a lot of their time trying to get into any industry in the West. They can easily get into any industry they want. And as a matter of fact, they can become leaders in Africa in those industries that they want. So you have to have them form a coalition of organizations. Go ahead. Somebody wanted to say something.
Yeah, Mark, you want to add something? Hold on.
Yes, I want to say something. Go ahead. Yeah, like what Joe is saying. I just want to add something to it. The problem is that I don't want to be pointing fingers to the oppressors, or however I'm going to call it, the foreigners, but they are the fundamental problems, because history has said it, and you can see it historically. Those people based in Africa, they are the people. They are the problem right now with us, the people based in Africa, because they've been brainwashed. Colonized, to the extent to believing that white is good and black is bad. For example, Dynast, if you are to get a position in Nigeria right now, you will be people will be a lot of guys will be like they want to take your position. They start fighting you, the home based guys. You know what I'm saying? And when they see that you can do it, they want to do it. You understand? They say they want to do it. But if a white man comes and take that position, every one of them will shut up. Secondly, like the education we're talking about, every youth is growing in Africa and spending like up to 10,000 euros through the desert trying to get to Europe. They are not poor. There is no poverty there. I don't see anything poor there. 10,000 euro, 8,000 euro, 7,000 euro, not even a flight, through the desert, through the water to get to Europe. That money is enough to do something better back home. You know what I'm saying? Or even partner with those people in the diaspora, people like you or like me, who's been here, that knows what the truths are. But they won't, because they've been brainwashed, from generation upon generation upon generation. Until today, it's like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, this is when you can send Western Union out of Nigeria. Before, you have everybody sending money to Nigeria and you don't even send out. You know, I used to go to Benin Republic to be able to send Western Union to Europe, for example. You know what I'm saying? But before, every time you have to send from Europe or America to Nigeria, what are they doing with the money? Nothing. Go to a bar, drink beer, you know, eat some foods, you know, have fun. You know, they're just living out of ignorance. And they've been made to, you know, to live on this way. They've been made to believe on this way. We have been made to believe on this way too. Those people coming from Africa to Europe, they are not poor, first of all, but it's just different mindset. Like the people during the slavery, like you, Dynast, for example, you guys came to the Americas. Your forefathers came to the America. Then you saw the truth. The same people that enslaved you guys are the same people that colonized the people back home, right? And tell them another story, and you guys went across the Atlantic and saw something else different. Do you understand how these guys are? Until today, it's like Africa is like a what to call it, a warehouse where they go to pick something when the world is in need. They pick it and they use it to fix, you know, the rest of the world. But they don't want to tell Africans the truth. For example, they don't even. For example, if they make Nigerian passport, yeah, can I say?
No, go ahead. And then, I want to make sure we get the special guest.
Okay. Okay. Let me just be fast. Let me just be fast. Yeah, I'll be very brief. For example, if you can make all the passports in Africa visa free to the West, believe me, in 5 years, nobody will be here in the West anymore. They will stop coming. You understand? But let them do it. They can do it. They make a lot of money through the embassies, through the visa stuff, and they don't even issue visas. They even take the money without the visa, or they even issue you visa for the first time. You arrive in Munich, for example, in Milan or in Istanbul, and they send you back home, you know, and you lost your money. This is lack of education. And they believe, you know, this place is clean, you know, is well taken care of and stuff like this. And with the high rate of the currency, these are the things that is deceiving people back home. So the thing is that it's we and those people back home that have to fix this. And I thank God right now there's social media. We can be able to have this type of conversation. We were together in Lagos. We saw everything, Dynast.
Okay.
I was trying to explain how. I was trying to explain how to solve the problem.
Hold on. Need this special guest. Let me get him on. His Wi-Fi is just.
Can I explain how to solve that problem?
Hold on, I got other people. Let me get African Tigress. Go ahead, African Tigress. How you doing, sister? Unmute you. You gotta unmute yourself. Yeah, you gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry. Hello, how's everybody doing in the chat? How are you, Dynast?
Everybody's doing well.
How you doing? I'm glad you're doing okay now. So I've joined the chat quite late, but what most people don't know, I got the point where some gentleman was talking about the startups and entrepreneurs, innovation in Africa. But what majority, or maybe most people don't know, is the fact that in order for your startup to be successful in Africa, most often you might need to have a white partner. So without that, it's very hard to get funding, because you know when you're starting business, you need funding to start your business, you need funding to run the business, to pay the bills and all that. Unfortunately, a lot of startups, for instance, I saw a list of top startups in Africa, and you find like maybe the top 20 or the top 50, you find at least there's a white co-founder. So maybe it's about time that the Black communities, those people who are in a position to invest in startups and in entrepreneurship in Africa, maybe it's about time that they need to come together and probably create a fund whereby they can be able to invest in these startups. Otherwise, at the end of it all, you'll find that companies or startups that are very successful are actually being run by non-Africans, and you know that yeah, you know what exactly that might be able to lead to. And also there have also been cases whereby like people started you come up with an idea, you start it, someone sees, mostly, okay, this case actually happened in Kenya. So you got two white partners. When they realized that the business is picking, he's the one who came up with the idea, the model, and everything. When they realized that the business is doing well, they actually wanted to throw him. Actually, it's kind of they have thrown him out of the company that he started. Well, so my message to all Black people out there across the globe is, if you are in a position to invest in Africa, if you are in a position to invest in startups and entrepreneurship, if you're willing to take that risk, well, then this is the time.
Thank you, African Tigers. We appreciate you. All right, Nee, are you there, brother? Are you there, Nee Aye?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Nee, I'm a suggestion. Turn off your video. I would recommend turning off your video so the bandwidth won't slow it down. It will work with the internet connection. Yeah, turn off your video,
Let me
brother.
try that and see.
There you go. Okay, go ahead, brother. Hello.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead. Hello. Hello. Hey, Mark, I'm gonna bring somebody else on real quick, brother, and I'll bring you back on. That cool? Okay. Nee, we keep. Goodness. All right, let's do this. Oh, there we go. All right, Lou Major. Oh God. Oh. Lou. I'm gonna give you the disclaimer, Lou. The disclaimer. Lou Major.
Look, I'm Dennis. I gotta ask you, why do you always make it sound like what I say is just remarkably extreme and crazy?
So you be going a little too extreme sometimes, Lou. But Lou, go ahead, Lou.
Dennis, we both know that you agree with 99% of the shit I say.
85%. 85%.
Okay, I think it's 90, but
80%. 80 between 75 and 80%. Between 75 and 80.
75 and 80. All right, fair enough.
75 and 80%. Say hello to African Tigers. Say hello.
Hello, African Tigers.
Hi, Lou. How you doing?
You know, I actually do watch your videos. I think you do an excellent job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you do a good job when it comes to stuff in Kenya and the stuff you see there. I think there was a guy who was saying, who's on the track of saying some of the stuff that I was going to point out. I don't think a lot of people in Africa and African Tigers, I'd love to get some feedback on you, will say a lot of stuff like, they'll do two things. When you talk to them, I've noticed they tend to blame the leaders. They'll say, well, the leaders aren't adequate. The leaders aren't doing enough. And then the second thing is they'll say that all these people from outside are here and they're doing all these things. But what I noticed with Africans in particular is the Africans don't have a problem with African Americans. However, what I've experienced is that Africans do see a distinction between themselves and African Americans in the sense of like, not in a negative way. I want to make that clear, but it's more of like almost as if African Americans, like other foreigners, are somehow these alien species that can't possibly understand what they go through and what things are like. And there's this inferiority complex that I feel like exists within Africans that I'd like to get some clarity on is that getting better or is that changing? Because I think the biggest issue with Africa are Africans. I don't think it's the people who go in and do business, because at the end of the day, people come to America and do business and make a lot of money from outside as well. There's just a lot of Americans who make money here as well, make money in America as well. I think what I see in Africa is that They're just waiting around for somebody else to come and do it for them or to come and save them. And there doesn't seem to be a hell of a lot of urgency to do anything for yourself. And I want to know if I'm not seeing something correctly here or why that is. And that's a question for African Tigress because she lives there. Like, for example, people just show up into your country and give out injections and people just take it. Nobody asks any questions. Nobody's like, what is this? It's just some white lady shows up and is injecting people with shit and people just line up and accept. It's bizarre. Can you help me understand kind of that mentality that exists in Africa? Because I think, again, the problem with Africa is the Africans themselves.
Okay, what I can say about that is, first, I don't think that Africans see African Americans as aliens. Probably there could be stereotypes here and there based on probably what they watch or what they see on television, what the media portrays African Americans to be. So you might find there are stereotypes here and there. But when it's talking about people landing and doing whatever they want, I know in some countries it's very easy and it's very possible when people come in and they are holding, I don't know, medical camps, or they're coming in charities, or they're all going to the rural remote areas and trying to vaccinate or treat people. But it's not all countries, because in some countries, if you have to do that, if you have to hold a medical camp or some sort of treatment, you'll need some permission. So I don't think that Africans are helpless, especially the young people right now are actually waking up. A lot of young people are standing up for themselves. A lot of young people are raising their voices, especially in some countries which I can call somehow democratic, a little bit like Kenya, where at least we have freedom to talk and raise our voice, call out on stuff. And I'm so glad, because whenever we do that, in most cases, not all cases, but whenever the people get to learn there's something wrong happening, once they share it on social media and people get on it, I mean, I've seen a number of times our government acting on it.
Well, I mean, the reason I say that is because a lot of like, for example, I'll use something as simple as coffee, right? Because you're in East Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania have the best coffee in the world. You can get a kilo of coffee in Dar es Salaam for like $1.90, right? And you could 1 kilo of coffee, you could then break that down into 12 kilo packs and export each 12-ounce pack and sell it for $15. And nobody does that. Like, the people who does that are people from outside of Kenya or outside of Africa who shows up and say, oh, look at all this cheap coffee that I could export. And my whole thing is, why aren't Africans just thinking about, like, this is an obvious, like, it's easy. It's not, that doesn't require a lot of capital. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that I'm saying, that to have that much natural resources and we're not talking about, for example, you said you need a white partner, and that would actually be true at a tech startup. That's 100% true, because you need but the reality is any tech startup anywhere in the world will need VC partnership to be able to get off the ground. So that's not a specifically African thing. You could go to India, China, wherever if you have a tech startup, you need VC capital to get off the ground because it costs so much money. However, basic business like export businesses when you have the best coffee in the entire world, like, that's an actual fact. People in England will pay $10 for a 12-ounce pack of Tanzanian Blue Mountain coffee. You could go to Tanzania right now and get that exact same coffee, 1 full kilo, for $1.30. And if you go directly to the plantation and you get it green, less than $1. Why is it that the only people who seem to have to export that coffee are foreigners? Do the locals not know, or why is that?
Well, for sure, I know there are also locals who are exporting. There's also a number of people who export on small scale. But also we cannot, there are people who would love to do that, who would love to export, but you just don't start exporting like that. You must have capital. You must have capital to even set up the business, register the business, get the permits, get all that. So for someone who wants to do that, especially for young people, if they would want to do that, if they don't have like a steady source of income and good income for that case, they might not be able to do that. For instance, probably you might, maybe someone, I don't know the cost, but probably if someone needs like maybe 5,000 or maybe 2,000 or $3,000 to start the business, you'd be surprised to learn that 80% of the population does not even have $1,000 in their bank accounts.
That's the same thing here in
America. It's the same in America.
Same thing here in America.
An average American does not have enough money for a $400 emergency.
Right.
So, and some people, you'll find that their total earnings at the end of the year, what they make every month, even without spending, cannot even total to probably 5,000 is even on the higher, cannot even total to $1,000 per year.
Guys, 1 second, guys, hit that like button, okay?
My question that
well, hold on,
go ahead.
Make sure you guys hit the like button. I'm gonna sing my song if you don't hit the like button. Hit the like button, okay? Just hit the like button. All right, go ahead.
What is that in PPP terms? Because obviously, if you're making $1,000 a year, that's to us. If you're living in America, that sounds like a very small amount of money, and it probably is. I'm saying relative to actual cost of living there. Because if I'm not mistaken, if it's 100 to 1, $1,000 in a year is something like 100,000 T shillings. And if I'm not mistaken, you could get a decent apartment, a really cheap apartment out there for like, I have no idea, but if that's like 100,000 T shillings per year. Now I don't know if that's K shillings per year. Now I don't know what kind of a lifestyle that gets you or what. I actually don't know. That's why I'm asking. That number is relative. That's what I'm really trying to say. That number is relative depending on the cost of living over there. So that $1,000 per year, can a person get an apartment with that? Can they buy groceries with that? Like, what does that get you?
Well, you'll get an apartment depending on where you stay. If you stay in rural places, if you're not staying maybe in the capital, you can actually live with that. But
what's it called? The East Line?
In a city, you want to stay in an average or above average neighborhood, you can't do that. You should also understand that there's a difference because you see, Americans, you can get credit.
Mm-hmm.
Americans can get credit. We cannot get credit.
Yeah, I mean, Dynast, I haven't been in America in a long time. Are most small businesses being started by business bank loans, or is it usually that a person puts up money? And how's most small businesses being started in the U.S. right now?
They're putting up the money.
Okay, so it sounds like it's the exact same. It sounds like the conditions are not that different.
I would say, like, before the crash of 2008, SBA was giving away money. If you had a business plan, SBA would. The small business. SBA, African Tiger, is called the Small Business Administration Association here in America, and they give loans to small businesses. So before the crash in 08, SBA, they were just giving away money. But now you got to pretty much put up your own money.
But African Tigers, I might be missing something here. But Dynast, I don't know if you're catching this, but if you're saying to me that it costs about $3,000 to $5,000 to open up a business in Kenya, and that's it, and the issue is just a matter of getting capital, then it sounds like it sounds like a fairly obvious opportunity kind of has formulated for in Africa. Just simply create a fund, a high interest fund that you could allow, for example, diasporans to put whatever money they want to put into it, $500, $600, and then that fund funds businesses. If they're $3,000 or $5,000 businesses, that sounds like a fairly, obvious opportunity if what you're saying is correct. I mean, what I'm simply saying is when I talk to other Africans, right, and we're talking about smart people. Some of them are, I'm not gonna I'm not going to be dishonest. There are some Africans that are, are pretty dull, but I'm talking about there's a lot of really smart African people, like a lot. And they'll be very articulate in their thinking and have perfectly reasoned ideas. But what there's this inferiority complex of like, there's this thought of, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I want to go someplace else. I want to go someplace else. I want to go someplace else. And it's always, I just want to go someplace else. This other place is always better. And it's like, to me, I'm like, if that's how you feel about your own space, I guess what I'm saying is, for example, in China, Africans are being abused. That's terrible. But they're being abused because they're in China. And so what I'm saying is, on some level, I wonder if it's even worth feeling sorry for somebody who continuously puts themselves in a position to be abused by somebody else, but refuse to do anything for themselves. You understand? Because like, if you got to think about that. Like, if you go to Tanzania, there's a lot of very rich people in Tanzania. We're talking billionaires, but none of them are black.
Whoa, they're Indian though.
Exactly, that's my point. You didn't let me finish the statement. But none of them are black. That's to me pretty telling. Because Tanzania, frankly, I would say one of the easiest places in the world to get rich would have to be Tanzania. They've got natural resources everywhere. You could buy a Tanzanite stone the size of Dionysus' head for less than $5,000 on the street corner. Okay, I mean it's dripping. You go to Sierra Leone, you get raw diamonds, carats of raw diamonds for next to nothing. So it's like it's dripping with money. How is it that everybody else is figuring that out except the locals, and the locals want to leave all this?
All right.
I guess what I'm saying is, I really don't.
Let her answer your question, bro. Let her answer your question, brother. Let her answer.
I am. So.
Okay. So when you're talking about the Tanzanians or the East Africans, when you're talking about those ones who are the richest, I can say it's almost a similar situation to the US. You'll realize that a lot of these Indians who are the wealthiest in the populations are actually those ones who are here even before the independence. They've been born here, they've grown here, they had an upper hand than the locals. So the access and whatever they were able to access was much easier for them to access the resources they needed. And also the fact that at that time their families, relatives, and whatever, they came to do businesses, they had the resources. So this wealth is not that they just came and suddenly had the money. So this is the wealth that they've been accumulating for years. So it's just like in the US, the fact that the white people are richer than the black population.
Nee, are you there? Nee, are you there? Nee. Okay, all right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lou Major.
You African. When I listen, you're on the younger side. One of the things that I observed, now this is, just my observation, you could tell me if that's changing or if I'm misinterpreting, is that there seems to be this thought of a lot of Africans just kind of waiting for somebody to come and save them. That's what it seems like.
No.
Because here's the thing, like, you'll hear a lot of Africans, young, old, middle-aged, will say it's the leaders. But what people have to understand is that leaders are simply in a result or representation of the culture in which they come from. So in other words, leaders reflect you. So what you're seeing in your leaders, you're just seeing in yourself. That's you. Like, Donald Trump is America. Like, Donald Trump is a very good, accurate reflection of Americans. He really is. A lot of Americans may not like that, but he is America, right? It's the same thing. So if you have very selfish, incompetent leaders who make bad deals on behalf of their people, it's because the populace is selfish and incompetent. Because at the end of the day, you do have a democracy. You do vote for these people. And so what I'm trying to understand is, how is this still happening?
Well, first, leaders, in most cases, it's not who is voted for who wins. In most cases, the population, yes, plays a role to who is elected, but there are systems and there's a way they go around it to get whoever they want into power. You can vote, the elections are get rigged all over. I know you've seen it in the news all over Africa. And for sure, I cannot say that Africans are only waiting to be rescued or they're waiting to be saved, and they are only relying on our leaders. For my case, I'm always talking about the fact that we as young people, we really need to come up and speak out on a number of things. You realize that in most cases, even if you elect a good leader without proper systems, there's really nothing much change that this leader can bring unless he comes in and brings the change that we really need. But however, as much as we may have a leader, he gets into the system and there are no systems. For first Africans, what we really need to do is to develop systems. But trust me, we are not waiting for someone to come and rescue us. And I know you've seen the fact that in a number of countries, the president still elections. And in the positions of power, the wife has a senior position in the government, the son the same. So sometimes that's what make people seem so helpless. Or whenever people go out to protest, the fact that they are beaten, and even if it's a peaceful demonstration and all that, in some places people are beaten, people are given unfair jail terms for mistakes that they really didn't commit or something that is not a crime. So a lot of people are trying. It's just that the voices are not many enough yet. But I don't think as an African, we are actually waiting to be saved or rescued or whatever. Mm-hmm.
At this particular, juncture, I'd love to hear other people. And by the way, I did want to quickly, on a side topic, clear something up. I never at any point in time said to anybody that I think 5G was causing coronavirus. I was simply saying that there are some scientists who believe that that 5G needs to be researched as a potential cause of future conditions, maybe coronavirus. And for whatever reason, people misinterpreted that. So I wanted to clear that up one time, but then that was all I had to say on that, and we could get back on topic. I just wanted to quickly say that, because apparently people seem to think that I believe I'm one of these, aluminum foil tin hat people who believe that 5G is going to kill everybody. I don't believe that.
Sometimes you do be having your tin foil cookie on sometimes.
If you could give me one good example, I'll accept that statement.
That's another show. That's another show. Hold on. Josiah, you want to add something?
Yeah, I really appreciate the gentleman Lou Major asked a very, very important question, and it's not that I'm gonna go around in a circle about this, but the truth is the truth. I'm gonna be very direct with the question he asked, the answer he's looking for. So in Africa, most of the leaders in Africa, they're not Africans. The question is, why would I say this? So if you look at the Chinese people, a Chinese person is physically a Chinese and also spiritually a Chinese and mentally a Chinese. They call themselves Zhongguoren, whether they're in France or in Russia or in the US, they are Zhongguo. They are Chinese. Now you have the African person, the so-called African person. He wants to go to Mecca to pray or go to Jerusalem to pray. Are they Africans? So the true African is a person
Hold on, brother. See, at one time, the Middle East was Africa. Then, see, the man-made Suez Canal separate the Middle East from Africa, brother. So they really go to Africa. So Saudi Arabia and Israel is really Africa, brother. It's Africa.
I see what you're saying, but let's call a spade a spade. I am making reference to an institution that's very well known to have disrupted the growth of Africa. Like let's be like call a spade a spade. So automatically these people have a boss. They have somebody they have to, respond to. So that's why Africa is the way it is. It's not a high IQ economy. People that are smart in Africa, they suffer because it's not a high IQ economy. Like the sister said, you have to know somebody to get in, to succeed. You have to rely on somebody in power to succeed. This is more like the Chinese economy or Russian economy, but these people are successful. Now, the question we ask ourselves, why is it that Africa fails when it comes to stuff like this, to start a business, to have a startup, to be an entrepreneur? The answer to the question is very simple. The Africans, they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in paying what is proportional or equal remuneration to somebody who is intelligent. That is why the talents in Africa leave. As long as Africa does not respect smart people, there will be a lack of smart people. Now, when the smart people come to the US, they have an opportunity to be the optimized human being, the utopian, the desired optimized person, to be the best that you can be. However, we know what being the best that you can be is. Now we have recognized the fact that we have to create a pipeline to transfer knowledge, education, resources back to Africa. Where did we learn this from? We learned it from the Indians and the Chinese. They come here, they call us to give us, the Americans, a job. They don't even speak better English. So we Africans should look at that and mimic that. The Africans in Africa speak very good English. We that have businesses in America, the struggle we have is we don't have support from the white man, neither do we have support from the black man. However, we keep pushing because we believe in the Africa that we want. We believe in the Africa we want. But how many of us are there? The brother said what he said in technology. In order for you to take off, you need the white man from Connecticut or the white man from Boston. He's right. However, in order for Africa to be what it's supposed to be, you can't wait for the white man. You have to keep pushing. So we have to find a way to build an engine that will support our startup, that will support our small businesses. The lady that's trading in the little market in Kenya or Uganda, she needs to be funded through a microfinance. And how can we build that microfinance that have that economy, that little economy for the unbanked as well as the banked? Is by supporting our startups. There are many startups. There are many talents in HBCU schools, but nobody's tapping it. Why? Because the black people are not believing in themselves. They think that their own people are not smart enough. I went to HBCU. I found a kid that made a Roomba that wipes a car. A white man haven't even thought about that, but the kid thought about it. Why? Because he's a poor kid. And his poor nature forced him to come up with a brilliant idea that could enrich him. As I speak to you, the white folks are talking to him, and I'm telling him, be careful. They might take that idea and run with it, and you'll be done for because you don't have any money even to patent that. Now, I'm trying to train and coach him, and who is training and coaching me? We don't believe in ourselves, and that don't mean we have to stop. Some African leader in the past say that while he was trying to fight the oppressors, he always uses one hand to fight the oppressor because he had to use the other hand to fend off his own people that are attacking him. That's the situation some of us find ourselves. I will support anybody that's doing something to promote Africa, but would they support me? A black brother told me, no matter what I do or develop, whatever application I develop, that he will not use it. Why? Because if something happens, he can't sue me. But if something happens, he can sue another person. And I asked him a question, why are you talking about suing? We haven't even started building anything. Don't you respect the fact that black people need to have something they call theirs? So this is the problem we have. Now, to answer your question, if you want me to keep going, I can keep going. The problem we have, we don't believe in ourselves. We have the inferiority complex. We believe in other people more than ourselves to help us to grow. We took other people's religion without reading in between the lines to know what line to cross and what line not to cross. We took everything we were taught and we swallowed it. We didn't think twice, just like the Jews. We should have thought carefully and reasoned. We can't be praying and waiting to be saved when we have two hands. When you have two hands, you have to use your two hands because the God that created the heavens and earth gave you those two hands to use them. If you don't need it, he wouldn't have given it to you. Therefore, you can pray till tomorrow and you never help yourself to make the necessary changes. You will never change. Instead, the people that are making you, that are turning you into a praying mouth, will take the land that you sit on, upon which you pray upon. You cannot be saved. So that's the problem right there with the Africa that is in Africa. Well, when it comes to the diaspora, we are in a system where it's a cutthroat system. We tend to fend for our families first and do whatever we have to do to pay our bills. Therefore, we don't have time to support another brother who's trying to do anything else. For instance, if a brother has a store, maybe they're selling shoes or whatever, we'll go to the Chinese or the Pakistani or the Indian to buy the same thing that a black man is selling. That's stupidity. If you go to the black person and give him the money, you are helping somebody in Jamaica or somebody in Brooklyn Hood or somebody in Compton or somebody somewhere. That's who you're helping, and they are black. Propensity, the chances that they are black is very high. It's well over 50%. But if you go to another person, that money leaves your community. That's the problem we have in the diaspora. We do what we can to keep our little job when we're working for the man, and we're not going to support anybody else because we want to be careful. We want to tread softly so we can get what we need. But
real quick, guys, make sure you hit that like button if you're new, subscribe. Also, don't be afraid to super chat. Okay, don't be afraid. It's okay to super chat. Go ahead and hit that super chat button. All right, go ahead.
So when you are taking up to somebody's religion, what do you expect? Religion is a part of government. It's a part of the society that we live in. It's used to assuage the people. When you take it in wholesale, it influences you. Even the school that you go to influence you to work instead of look back to the pride of all black people and help and build it. It makes you to work. Oh, I want to work for Google. I want to work for Facebook. How about start a business that will impact people's life? You see, for myself, I made it my life duty to build a technology that will protect the information and data for everybody. If it happens that Africans realize my work and decided to use the algorithm, good for them. If they don't realize, that's up to them. So you can't blame me. I've done my part. I've built the stuff and it's out there. So if they want to use it, it's good for them. If they don't want to use it, that's that. Now, to expect the oppressor to give me to give me an accolade and thank me for changing their system, it's not going to come anytime soon because you have changed their system. You have a target on your back. Do you understand?
Right, guys.
So that's what it is.
Lou Major, you want to jump in and African Tigers, you want to respond to Brother Josiah, Lou Major, or African Tiger, or somebody?
Sure. I've listened to him talk about the young man who started the business or who has an innovation and he's trying to mentor him or help him. I feel telling him to be careful is not enough. If you could be in a position to help that young man at least patent his product or innovation, that would also help. And when you're talking about having a product out there, if Africans want to use it, that's fine. If they don't, that's up to them. How are we going to be able to know that your product exists? Because I don't even know what product you are talking about to begin with. So how are we able? Have you marketed it in the African market? Have you promoted it? So you have to put your product out there for people to use it. And you being in tech, I'm in tech too. you cannot just put it there and tell people like, oh, if they want to use, they can use. So what you need to do is you put it out there and you tell them the benefit of using that product, because I'm sure even you as an entrepreneur, as you're setting up, you're creating that product, there's a benefit you're getting at the end of it, or it's not free because you've invested your time and everything. That's all.
Lou Major, you want to add something to this, Lou Major? I know you do. Lou Major, you there? Okay, I guess Lou Major disappeared.
Did you not see me, man? I was backstage.
My bad, Lou. You already been in the chat. Lou Major, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Don't worry. You know, I agree with Josiah a lot on a lot of the things that he was saying. But what I was listening, as I was really listening to Josiah and African Tigers talk, is just honestly, my own observation is, yes, there is not a lot of respect, not in all, by the way, but by a large percentage of Africans, similar to African Americans, where there's not a lot of respect for smart people. That's actually true. But that's not just in Africa. I'm starting to think that maybe that's just a black thing, because that's the case in America. Black Americans don't respect smart people culturally. So it's just kind of, I think that's just, I don't think that's genetic, but there's some kind of a global thing where, for whatever reason, majority, not all, black people don't respect smart people. But what I also think is that that's an opportunity, because one of the things I think I see, for example, all the other groups are doing, is that they go there and they recognize that these African people, not all of them, but a lot of them are pretty stupid. So they recognize that they're stupid, and two, they recognize that they're easy to manipulate, and so they dominate and rule them. And so what I'm saying to you is, when you have that means Africa is a low competition market that's very big and is resource rich. So that means if you're like a smart black person, black American, like say Dynast Amir, you can go to Africa and pretty much dominate and rule the population and enrich yourself, because the general population is very stupid. They're not, when I say stupid, I mean stupid as in not ignorant, right? Not like they're genetically inferior to anybody. That's not the case, but they are stupid. All right. So that's what foreigners do with the black community. They come in and they realize that the black Americans are not smart enough to build up their own community. So they set up all the businesses there, and they just suck that community dry and take it back to their own community. What I'm saying is, it sounds like what Africa may be needing is that the smart black Americans, black Americans, black Canadians, black whatever, who are in the United States and are in these countries, or even in Africa, instead of giving that talent and labor over to white folks or Arabs or somebody else, why don't we just use the intelligence that we have, that we seem to have upper hand over the majority of our own people, and just simply rule them? They're not. I mean, because that's pretty much what's happening, right? Everybody out, while all the talented blacks leave Africa and go and be a slave to a white person and make that white person rich, that same white person goes back and just enslaves the rest of your dumb compatriots. Because we have to be honest here, most black people, black in Africa, blacks in America, I don't think this is a genetic thing, but there's obviously some historical contexts there. There's a lot of problems there that has led to just overall stupidity. But maybe what we need to start understanding is, maybe W.E.B. Du Bois might have been right, where he says the talented 10th, so a person like yourself, Dynast, have an obligation to rule the other 90% that honestly cannot rule themselves. You know, like, so somebody like Josiah, you have an obligation to go to Africa and rule these people who can't rule themselves. Or a person like yourself, Dynast, you have an obligation to go to Africa and rule those people, because they're incapable of ruling themselves. They've been ruled by other people for such a long period of time that they don't know how to rule.
I think I have a solution to that, but I try to talk about it, but nobody want to pay attention.
We're gonna keep this going for 10 more minutes, and then we're gonna we're gonna close out. So Josiah, don't be too long-winded, you guys.
No, I'm gonna go straight to the point. So, ruling over somebody is no longer the way to go in this
Thank
time
you.
and age. Ruling over somebody is no longer. I thought about it for a long time, and I realized it's not a way to go. But there's another system. How, whichever way, this could be more conducive for the age that we're living. Today, there's a lot of transparency and visibility with the social media and the rest of them. So ruling somebody is not going to be very good. What you need to do, what I have done, is I have prepared a document that allows people to work together with nobody owning the stuff. If you want to own it, you put more money in it, because I know how Africans are. As much as you think Africans are weak, they are not. Africa don't want nobody to rule over them. So I got a lawyer and drew a document. What the document clearly stated is the organization is a coalition of businesses from around the globe who want to operate in Africa without a license at the very beginning, as long as they are associated with this corporation. It's a hub that ICO hobby that we established. What it does is, if you're in the diaspora, you want to operate in Nigeria, you go into that program, you plug yourself in, you operate in the area that you wanted to operate. The idea is to formulate a coalition of companies, startup companies in the tech area, so that over 5 years you will be looking at 150 startup companies. That's the idea. That's how it's created. I also have an operation in Africa. I have about 10 people that work for me. They write code for me. I developed the code, I developed the company and everything. But I realized that the white man is not going to give me any money, especially when they know my idea is very, very out of the world. I tried so hard in the US, it wasn't happening. So I went and established this thing over there. And I have about 10 people that work with me. And I discouraged them from calling me boss. I told them the problem Africa have is you guys call everybody boss. Don't call nobody boss. Let your work be the boss. I discourage them from hero worshiping others. That's what's keeping Africa where it is. I told them the purpose of me investing my money in you guys, because I realized my compatriots never invest in anybody, never invest in human resources. You talk about the government. The government is you. What I do with you today, you remember it and you do it for another person. That's how the oppressors succeeded over us, because they put their life in the line for their lineage to continue. The Africans don't do that. Not only did I not get support, I took the money that I got from my contracting job in the US and I paid a bunch of Africans for product that I haven't made any money from. And I prepared the document so that other people can follow suit. And I took the document to the HBCU universities to show them how they can have startups start and have young black youths owning companies around South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, all those impoverished areas, Louisiana. As a matter of fact, the kid that I was telling you guys about came from Louisiana. He came to Columbia to go to university here. He got a scholarship for football, but nobody knew that he had another innate talent in him, which was in engineering. Now, he never went to engineering school. Now, this kid broke his collarbone.
Josiah, this is what I want to do. I want Lou to respond, and then we're going to close out. So
I want to add something, please, before Lou.
Okay, listen, you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And then,
all right. Mine is a response to Lou. First, I think it's I don't know, it's wrong to call a whole population stupid. That's you really need to withdraw that. You don't just call a whole population stupid. And I don't know if you've ever actually been to Africa where you think everybody is stupid. And if you continue to have that mentality, then we'll always have this sort of division. We need to stand united. If you start believing that a certain group of people are stupid, then that's how they're actually going to win. I don't know if you've ever been to Africa, but if you've never been, I'm inviting you to Kenya. You'll come and I'll take you even to the most remote or the slums and whatever. You'll see a lot of innovation. You'll see a lot of creativity that you're talking about. You'll see things that will shock you. But until then, until you really get to the ground and interact with the people and get to understand these things that the people are doing that you feel are stupid, why are they doing what they are doing? If you don't understand why people are doing that, well then, you'll always have that in your mind, and it's never going to be. We're never going to stay united. Thank you.
I actually live in Africa.
Well,
and when I said stupid, when I said stupid, I don't mean stupid as in an incapability of doing things. And I never said every African was stupid. As a matter of fact, what I actually said is that Africa has Africans are ignorant, and the Africans that are smart, they leave. Like, for example, the guy who developed fiber optic cable is a guy named Thomas Munsey. He's a Ghanaian, one of the smartest people who ever lived, in my opinion. This guy left Ghana and went and developed fiber optic internet capabilities for Western companies, LG to be exact. And then, of course, the West then used that technology to further enslave Africans. You may be offended by what I just said, but it's also true. The second thing that I'm also saying to you is that the fact that a lot of the Africans that are there are ignorant, I don't want to say unintelligent, but certainly unaware, right? Because you have to understand, we both live in Africa. We both know that if you are at the airport with a white female friend, that white female friend will be treated better than you. We both know that. We both know that if we go to a restaurant, if you go to a restaurant with a white friend of yours, even if you're paying, and I say this because I've experienced this, you will be served, your white person who you're paying for will be served better than you. These are facts. Now, if you don't accept facts, you cannot even begin to fix your problems, right? If you don't accept what's wrong with you, you can't solve the problem. So before you get emotional and offended, accept the reality of what I just said. Now, the next thing that I'm saying is Africans may not, quote unquote, want to be ruled over, but they are, right? So like the fact that Chinese people are mistreating Africans in Africa, and you're more apt to see an African leader condemn their own people, as is the case in Nigeria, who are trying to put the blame on their own people and do absolutely nothing in terms of defending their own population. And the populace will talk a lot on the internet, but will not take to the streets and confront their government. They are ruled over. Now, what I'm saying is, instead of foreigners ruling over them, why can't it be the educated, talented blacks that are scattered throughout the world and are also on the continent, going in essence, doing the same thing that foreigners are doing and ruling over the less capable? So, and unfortunately, where most Africans are at right now, we're not talking about all of them. We're talking about most of them. Because you have to understand, those two French doctors said what they said about vaccinations, about Africans, because they know that if they go to Africa and offer a little bit of money, they'll have lines of Africans who will volunteer to take injections of things that they don't know what's in it, because they do that right now. And even after that, the Congolese health minister, in essence, volunteered his nation for that. So we have to acknowledge these realities. Let's not lie to ourselves. It's not healthy. What I'm saying is, instead of allowing French people who don't care about Africans, or Indians who don't care about Africans, or Chinese who don't care about Africans, why don't we just have the talented Africans, like the Thomas Mensa, like the Diaspora Emirs, go there and do the same thing and rule over them, but instead of ruling over them for their exploitation and rape, which is what's happening now, you rule over them for their own good. I mean, because the average African doesn't realize that he needs to change his educational system. If they did realize that, they would have done it already. You understand what I'm saying? Like
the average African knows that. It's the leaders. I told you, the leaders are not Africans.
Stop blaming the leaders. Why don't you take to the street and remove them?
You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. I have told you my take on it. My take on it is very liberal. I'm very encompassing. I am removing the leaders from the equation, and I'm telling the people, why don't you make for yourself, build with your own hands? Not only did I tell them, I sponsored them. I told them, instead of you being online doing all this nonsense, write some code. I'll pay you for it. And they're doing it. And we have an app already from these Africans that's already built. And I'm encouraging them. And now the situation is not including the government. I'm telling them, don't wait for the government. Do for yourself. There's a market in the West. The West are looking for talent to help them build the technology. The technology is moving to the cloud. They need people. And the people in the US are very expensive to keep. That you guys are the next best thing. Not only you guys are less expensive, you guys are really hardworking. You guys really want to do the job, not because your parents told you to do it, but because you need to do it to survive. So I will give you the money to make whatever is desired to be made. And the people in the West, they also know that. Every one of them go to Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya to make their little prototype and come over here and get money from VCs. That's what they do. You can ask African Tigress. She just mentioned a situation of what happened. But a lot of us here don't even know. That's why I moved out. I went to the HBCUs and telling them there's a change in the dynamics in the world. There's a paradigm shift. HBCU, you are missing out. There's a lot of money from Trump. Go get this money. Teach these young people to have little startups and pipeline them to Africa so they can transfer resources and solve problems in Africa without money, and also reverse it back over here and keep doing that so we can get all the talent from both ends. Nobody's paying attention to my words. I have a long document of 50 pages of how this could be done. Nobody's listening. This is the only way we can bridge the gap with technology, our culture, our politics, our spiritual, the entertainment industry. If we don't reach the schools and do it through schools, it's going to be very difficult. Because the schools are what's killing us. We are learning from the oppressors, the people that colonized us. We are learning that we are using their system to govern our people, and it's hurting us. You see?
Then what? Okay, so everybody gets mad when I say, you know, I'm not going to use the word stupid. I just pick a different word, but
ignorant. Use the word ignorant.
Ignorant. But how am I the bad guy here? When I'm simply saying that everything you're saying right now, Josiah, is you and I are in agreement with it. But you have to understand that the general populace there genuinely does not realize what you're saying.
They don't know. That's why I'm teaching them. That's why I take my time and I go, just like what Dynast is doing. The only thing is I don't have a fellowship like Dynast. I actually have people I mentor on a weekly basis. I actually have a company established here in the US and in Nigeria. We make cybersecurity software, and I teach these people one-on-one on their various areas: full stack developer, web application, Java development. I teach them step by step, one-on-one, and I'm revealing the secret to them, telling them the West is not what you guys think. Here we are slaves. I tell them the truth. And I'm telling them that the educational system is designed to give them a license to work for the man, that the best thing is to reverse engineer the education they got and see how it will help Africa, just like the Chinese and the Indians did. Don't take everything you are given on a face value and put it in the pocket. Take it apart. Take out the stuff you don't need. Put your own stuff in it. That's why I came up with a technology to protect the information for everybody. And I said, if Africans want to use it, let them use it. It's for their own good. I don't mean it in a bad way. What I'm saying is they're going to say, you're not a white person. It's not good. They never tested it. When it was tested, they found out that the app we made is 75% secure in security. Google don't want it. Why? Because Google take your information. They saw this app is the best app ever, 75% security score. Every other app is like 10%. The only app that was close to it was 60%. It's called Jitsi. Check it online. That is why
you realize that you just said that your own people
They don't even want to support me. They don't care what I do.
Okay,
they
so
look
what do you
down
call
on
a group
me.
of people who do stuff like that?
They look
what would
down
you
on
call
me.
that group of person?
And real quick, Lou Major, Gregory Wyatt says, you're sharing the realities that currently exist on the continent. Your delivery is informed by a recognition of the empirical evidence on the ground.
Okay, that's empirical evidence on the ground. That's correct. But I'm not gonna call him stupid. Lou Major is correct.
What do we call him? I don't know another word.
No. I know what you know, Lou Major. You have heard me. You know how my mind works. But I'm not gonna call my people stupid. I'm gonna continue working with them and open their eyes to know that they are messed up. I'm not gonna call them stupid. I'm gonna open their eyes to let them understand you are done for. You are using your oppressors' education.
But you know that you should rule over them for their own good because they're not capable right now of ruling themselves.
What I will say,
are misinformed or mixed up, as you just said. You have an obligation.
My obligation is what I'm already doing. I'm not ruling over them because I don't want to create a cycle where people want to rule over others. What I will do is show leadership by example, showing them that you don't need the Western education to be who you are. You don't need to speak a foreign language to be a smart person. You already have a system. Build upon your system. Take from other people what is good and merge it into your system so that you can see the optimized person locally, not just taking everything you are giving to, not thinking carefully. Is this going to work here? Is this good for us? Like, for instance, there are people that make cars in Africa. The Africans don't even buy their cars. That's crazy. Why don't you buy the cars that were made in your messed up road, that were stress testing the messed up road with the stronger suspension system, and you go and buy a BMW and drive it in a messed up road, and the next day the BMW is all mashed up? They don't think properly, but I'm not going to call them stupid. I'm going to keep working with them till they open their eyes. They're lost, completely lost.
Well, I'm not saying that their eyes don't need to be open. I actually agree with you. I think I agree with everything you're saying. I just simply am saying that, listen, I believe in the 15-85% model, and I believe that cross-racially and globally. And what I believe is that, in essence, 15% of the population rules over the other 85% of the population. If you need to understand my ideology, just read Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky. He breaks down the entire thing for you. What I'm saying is every other racial group, their 15% takes on the responsibility of ruling their 85%. And of course, that 15% gets rich. That's the reward. The 85% pays the 15% in the form of wealth for structuring their society and putting order in their society. Right? That's how
do you understand African leadership? Do you truly understand African leadership? I'm not talking about the modern politics in Africa. Do you understand African traditional
people, from
leadership?
What I've gathered, are heavily tribal-based people, and I don't think that that's bad. I do think that it's ineffective to create large-scale, lasting institutions if you are only tribal. Like, if you look at one of the successful African countries, i.e. Rwanda, you have to destroy the tribal system for the society to move forward.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is tribalism doesn't apply. We have grown past tribalism right now.
No,
okay?
You have not.
We are intermarrying each other. We are intermarrying each other.
But Josiah, we still got a long way to go, especially now.
Well, we got a long way to go. But for instance, you African American or whatever, I call you a black person. You move to Africa. I have a lot of respect for you. Now, when it comes to ruling over people, let nature decide that. What we need to do is take the best of whatever from any country that we went to. Whatever we learned there, we should take it back to Africa. We should demonstrate that and help one another.
You do realize you're saying the exact same thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, we're saying the exact same thing, but I'm not using the word rule over.
But it's effectively what happened.
Okay, real quick, guys, because I gotta go. I got another show.
Okay, let me say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me say something. Last thing before I leave the stream. Lou, I get what you're trying to say, but from the way you are putting it, you're trying to put yourself to the as if you are a superior, some kind of superiority than the Africans. And if that is the kind of mentality you are going to come with in Africa, it's not going to help anyone. And I'm telling you for sure. We can always talk, we can say all these things, we can say, oh, we need to roll over, we need to do what. It's easy to say, but acting on it is different. And maybe you should also tell us, how are you contributing? You are in Ghana, how are you contributing? How the people in Ghana? So, and by me telling you this and by saying this, it's not about getting emotional, as you call it. I'm a YouTuber, I'm used to sharing controversial stuff and all that. So I don't get emotional over topics. I just share my opinion about it. But if people are going to come to Africa with that kind of mentality, thinking that you can come and change everything, change everything overnight, it's not going to work. First, if you're coming to Africa, you really need to teach the people. I do talk about it. Yes, that is the way to go about it. But if you're coming and saying, oh, they need people who are educated to come and rule over, it won't work. As much as that's what we would like to see happen, or as much as that might bring the change you want, that will only end up bringing chaos. As we are saying suggestions, or as we bring in suggestions here, please let's share suggestions that would work, not something that is going to cause violence, anger, and hatred. Thank you, Dynast. Thanks to the viewers. So, next time.
Anytime. And guys, make sure you go subscribe to African Tigress' page. African Tigress, guys, make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube page, okay? If you're not, I appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna close out. Josiah, you got 2 minutes. Then Lou Major, you got 2 minutes, and then that's it. Go ahead, Josiah. You got 2 minutes. Josiah.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, you got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I got 2 minutes. So, brothers and sisters, the time is right for us to run this up to realize our biggest strength. Our biggest strength is unifying. Our biggest strength is not to look down upon every one of us. There are so many talents. I never thought otherwise. I went to HBCU. I scout for talents on YouTube. I see a lot of things happening in Africa. But the problem we have is we don't have a culture where we invest in people. People in the old were doing that, but currently we've mixed up with other civilization, and it's hurting our system. We don't even believe in ourselves, and these things are hurting ourselves. We should stop this thing. We should start supporting the people that build our technology. No nation can rise without technology. If you think Africa will rise without having its own technology, you are wasting your time. This is what keeps me up at night. All I do is technology. I breathe, eat technology. I can be in a room for months without going anywhere, and I have successfully developed something amazingly great. I'm proud of it. I put half of my lifetime on it. So I'm encouraging every one of you, whatever you're doing, don't forget technology is the key for us being successful. I see a lot of Africans going into the YouTube gig economy. What do you think will happen when you guys start making a lot of fuzz? They will start hurting you economically. So it's time for you to think twice. I'm honestly, sincerely telling you, because I see the future where it's going. The people that can protect their information will control their future. We are all going to have digital identity in the nearest future. We need to redefine our data. As Africans, we need to cherish our information and protect it. Only 3 African states have data protection laws in the land. This is a shameful time to do so. We have to come together. Our lives have crossed now. We need to do something different moving forward. Technology is one of the keys that will help us to get where we need to be. Without technology, I wouldn't be talking to Dynast right now, Lou Major, or African Tigress. Think twice. Africa needs to have its own technology, starting with the schools over here in the United States of America. We have to go in there just like they did in the 60s. They were talking and teaching the independence for African states. We have to do the same thing in technology right now. That's what will help us. What you guys are doing are amazing. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all for being here. And let's keep the conversation going. It's a part of healing. Thank you all.
You're welcome, brother. All right, Lou Major, you got 2 minutes, brother. Go ahead.
Sure. I don't know if I've not done a very good job of articulating my thought process, but I think I can crisply put it this way.
Like I said, I agree with 80% of what you say. 80%.
That number keeps changing every single time you say it. So
okay, 82%. 82%. I agree with 82% of what you say.
Look, what I'm saying is this. I'm saying, okay, now most people who know W.B. Du Bois would say that he was a little bit of an elitist shrew. But at the same time, he wasn't wrong when he said that the talented 10th, that his theory is saying that group has an obligation to, in essence, provide this direction and structure to the other 90%. And here's what I mean by that. Like, you look at China 30 years ago or 40 years ago, the average Chinese person was pretty much not that different from the average African. And I know that a lot of people don't understand that. It'd be shocking to say that today, but it's the truth. The CCP, whether you agree with it or not, what they in essence did is they formulated a government where they took the best and most talented Chinese people, got them the best possible education, and then they put them in leadership position over key infrastructure. Now, the Chinese had to build that from scratch. We as Black people globally, we already have that. Like, for example, Dynast, I've read a couple of your books. They're not half bad, as I've said. You're obviously a good sales professional. My position is you have an obligation, a duty even to your race to move to Africa and build sales institutions, because the average African does not have the capability to do that themselves. I am a good entrepreneur. I am good at finance. So I felt an obligation to come to Africa and build those institutions. Okay. I'm not saying, now maybe I use the word stupid, but I mean, I'm not a socially cool guy. I'm a pretty straightforward, cut and dry guy. I'm a numbers driven person. I'm not an emotional person. I don't particularly care about how people feel. Okay. That's, I let my women do that. I'm here to actually resolve problems and accept things as they are, and then you fix them. And I'm saying that talented Black people have an obligation to go to Africa and lead the less educated, ignorant, stupid, whatever word you want to use, Black people that are there. Because we're not doing that, you have Indians, Arabs, and everybody else going there, becoming billionaires, and further enriching their own people. So when a guy like you, Dynast, goes and works for a sales institute organization that's owned by some white guy, you're making him richer to continue to exploit people that look like you.
True.
Right? So what I'm saying is, by you not being there and building sales institutions and dealing with the stupidity, and believe me, it is very frustrating at times living in Africa. You could not possibly understand that unless you're here and dealing with Africans every day. Even if that might frustrate you, you have an obligation to do that, because if you don't do it, somebody else will, and then they'll use resources that they extract from the continent to further exploit and rape the continent. Now, there's a whole bunch of Black people who are getting mad and doing that, and I'm saying, well, there's a good chance that the same people who are getting mad and are getting upset probably work for some company that's owned by somebody that doesn't look like them, who then uses those resources to further the cycle of oppression that you deal with every single day, which means you are financing your own oppression and financing the oppression of your children, your family, and your friends. And I'm saying you have an obligation, if you have talent, to go ahead and use that talent to build up your own place. Because the reality is, China is what it is because a very small group of talented Chinese people took on the responsibility to seize control of that country and rule it. And within 30 years, it's the second richest country in the world with very little natural resources. So what would happen if the talented of Blacks all over the world, Black Americans, Black Africans who went back to Africa or went to Africa and took on the responsibility of building that infrastructure, irregardless of what the majority of the stupid Africans or less educated Africans are going to say? because their opinion doesn't matter because they can't build it themselves. They need to be led by somebody else. Now, what I'm saying is, if you don't do it, believe me, Africa's going to get built up. The problem is who's going to own that infrastructure? Is it going to be people who look like the Africans, or is it going to be people like Chinese people who have no problem throwing Africans out in the street? That's all I'm saying, and I don't really understand what's offensive about that.
Absolutely. Well, brother, we appreciate you coming on, Lumej. You know, it's always a pleasure. 85%. I agree with 85% of what you say. 85%.
Well, I just gained 3%. That means I'm doing good.
85%. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror Search for Who. I will be back on at 7 o'clock speaking on opportunities in Nigeria. So we're coming right back on. Until next time, family, stay safe out there. Put your gloves, your mask on. Be safe out there. Peace.